day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing Hawkeye episode 4. So of course, before we begin, spoiler warning. And yeah, let's dive straight into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off directly where the last one ended, with, as Clint calls him, a sword guy. So essentially, Clint and Kate are caught by her parent, as you all call her, conjuring lady. But yeah, her mom and sword guy, as Clint calls him. And both of them sit down with Clint and Kate to figure out what's going on. And it's a bit of a back and forth with them trying to figure out what's going on. So nothing major there really. But this leads to Clint eventually leaving. He takes his sword from sword guy and hides it in his jacket and leaves. But when he's leaving, Kate's mom approaches him and asks him if he could leave her out of this, because in his line of work basically people die. And she references Black Widow. So call back to that, Avengers Endgame. But nothing major there yet. We then get, which is a bit of a touching moment, and that is more banter between Kate and Clint back home. And this basically entails Clint leaving there and going back by himself. Kate is with her mom still, and when Clint is going, he calls his wife. He has a discussion with her about some items missing from the Avengers compound and the Rolex that is missing. And we've seen this Rolex earlier on in episode 1 in the auction. So he's trying to track that down. We don't know who it belongs to yet. But yeah, it's giving off a signal and they're trying to find where it is. But Clint then goes home after having a moment with his wife talking on the phone, and he ices his entire body. He tapes frozen peas and drinks to his arm and leg. So there's that. And this is where it gets a bit more touching, because while Clint is there in Kate's aunt's building staying, she comes back and she kind of tries to make it up to him for missing so much time with his family and do a Christmas thing with him. So she brings movies, pizza, all that stuff, and Christmas sweaters, and they begin putting up a Christmas tree, talking about things, watching movies. And there's a touching moment between them where Clint teaches her a trick shot with a item from the Christmas tree, and she learns it eventually, snapping it to fly to hit the power button on the VCR. But yeah, touching moment. There's also another touching moment with them talking about arrows, and she's like, we should stop calling them your arrows, they're our arrows. And she has the idea to have a boomerang arrow and things like that. So nice banter between them. They kind of communicated more now, and there's that kind of teacher-student relationship blossoming between them. And it eventually leads to them having a more kind of sad conversation, and that is Clint stating that his best shot was the one he didn't take, and he basically says that he was sent to kill Black Widow and he didn't, and that was the best thing he ever did. And then we get flashbacks of them at Endgame with her dying, so I think it's more of a PTSD thing going on with him now. But this then leads to him telling her, good night, because he's kind of upset, and we see little flashbacks of the Black Widow dying again. But yeah, we then cut to the next day, and we see Kate has gone out on the mission to recover arrows, because he asked her to go to a certain area and ask the guilds, or the guild that he was doing the Viking thing with, to go and help, if they could help her get back the arrows. And he goes and he gets she goes and she gets the help and she makes a deal with them, but we don't know what the deal is yet. But that then cuts to Clint with Kazi in his car. Clint has taken all his weapons and he's basically trying to convince Kazi to get Maya to stop coming after him before somebody gets hurt, and he's implying that it'll be her. So a little bit of banter there. nothing too serious. We then cut back to now in the building, and we find out the deal Kate made with the guild. And it was basically to get them fabric to make a uniform or uniforms for them, new uniforms. And in that, she's also like, what if I get extra fabric and you can make 2 uniforms, one for me and one for him? Because we know he has to get an upgraded suit and upgraded kind of like what the poster had with him with purple on it. So yeah, we then cut to that and jump to the important part of the episode now, and that is Kate and Clint taking out this building to go and receive the Rolex, because they've gotten the location now and they're heading there. And while they're scouting on a building, Kate is like, well, we should have been higher up, it would have been easier to see. But Clint is teaching her while they're going along, so he's like, you just need to prioritize an exit over an entry. So again, more of him teaching her the ropes and showing her the proper way to do things. But while he's talking to her now and saying he'll go into the building to try to break into the apartment to get the watch, she kind of just wanders off into the street, and he's like, wait, what? And she's gone. And she gets into the building without having to do all this over the top thing Clint was going to do with his grappling arrow and all of that. She just offers a man help to carry his groceries inside, and then while going up the elevator, she begins to act kind of crazy, saying she's as an Avenger in the air and she's not talking to the man, she's talking to the Avenger. So he's like, yeah, you're kind of crazy, I'll take my bags and go. And essentially she got into the building, she breaks into the room, some lights start going off, so she uses the purple ooze arrows and stop the lights from flashing. And then while she's there, she gets the Rolex now, and she sees a list with Clint's family's name and ages and Clint, and then she sees a picture of Maya, aka Echo, and she contacts Clint and she's like, yeah, this is Echo's location, this is her apartment. And while she's talking to Clint, we hear Clint is attacked on the comm, and then Echo attacks Kate. Kate is like, I could give my heads up that Echo is here. Clint was like, well, yeah, I told you so, because Clint is busy fighting what seems to be Echo on the roof, but Kate is now fighting the actual Maya in the apartment. And this leads to essentially Kate getting whooped a bit. So yeah, she needs to work on them fighting skills a teensy bit. And Hawkeye manages to break away from this assassin or this attacker on the roof and fire a grappling or zipline arrow to where Kate is for her to get away. She tries to slide down and is stuck midway, but while Clint is fighting with this person, they tug the line, and that allows her to make it all the way to where Clint is. And this is where it gets interesting. So we see the assassin still fighting. The assassin is someone different from Echo. The assassin has on a suit that, you remember Spider-Man Far From Home, how he had the black stealth suit that he called it Spider Monkey. The suit looks a lot like that. But essentially this leads to them fighting, and the attacker gets the upper hand. She uses electricity things to shock Maya and throw her out of the battle for a while. She sucks Clint. She throws Kate off the building but attaches something to her, and Kate is falling and the harness kind of stops her, and Clint runs to save her, and he's like, again, it seems like he has PTSD still from that Black Widow death. So he looks at her and he looks kind of shocked, and she's like, pull me up, but he's like, no, get away. He cuts her and she falls to the ground safely, but she refuses to run away. So she runs back up the building and she fires what seems to be a flashbang arrow, and it explodes, pushing everyone away. And when it pushes everyone away, Maya escapes because she tries to come at Kate again, but Kate shoots her in the shoulder with an arrow, so she runs off, and that leaves Clint fighting this assassin slash attacker, and Kate trying to help him. And Kate draws the fire on the attacker, but Clint rips off her mask at the same time, and she throws Clint to the ground. And when Kate is about to release the arrow, she looks at Kate and gives her the like, don't do it. And Kate just releases her bow, she doesn't fire, and we see who the person is, and it's revealed that it is Black Widow's sister, Yelena Belova, making her appearance in episode 4. And she jumps off the building with her grappling hook thing and escapes. And then we have the ending with Clint basically telling Kate that, yeah, we're not partners anymore. This isn't going to work. I'm doing this alone because somebody just had a Black Widow assassin, and that is a big no-no. It's too dangerous now for you. So, you know, I'll do this on my own. And it's more so coming from a place of care because he doesn't want Kate to die or get hurt, because I'm assuming, again, more of the PTSD from when Natasha died. He doesn't want to see that happen again. And the episode ends on that kind of somber note with him leaving her. So yeah, good episode. Of course, the big thing here is Yelena showing up. So we see her, we see her face, we know that she's in this episode. Maybe she'll pop up in the next episode or the episode after that. We'll have to wait and see. But this also shows us that Val should be popping up, because we saw how with Val at the end of Black Widow in the end credit scene, and Val showed her the picture of Ronan being Hawkeye, and she said Hawkeye killed her sister. So maybe that plot gets resolved here and there's some kind of truce, or maybe it carries on into a future film or movie. Well, a movie and a film is the same thing, or series I mean. But let's see how that gets resolved. But other than that, we now officially know that Helena knows who is Clint, and basically we have the passing of the mantle of Black Widow now, and then, well, Clint passing the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate like in the comics. So now we have both of them interacting again, so that's pretty cool. We have to wait and see. Again, we're still waiting to see Kingpin pop up. Rumors he should pop up sometime soon, maybe next week or the following week for the last episode. But I'm hoping he's in more than just one episode, so we have to wait on that to see. But this again leads since Yelena is here, I'm assuming they're leading up to a future Thunderbolts project somewhere, be it a series or a movie, because if Val shows up again to recruit someone or something to that effect, then it would hint, because so far Val has been popping up throughout the series so far. So we have to wait and see how that goes, but I assume there's going to be a Thunderbolt project somewhere down the line, and it's going to tie into all these people she visited, her being the Nick Fury of the Thunderbolts kinda. But yeah, all in all, good episode. This episode was more of a heartwarming, touching episode, showing the dynamic between Kate and Clint as humans kinda celebrating Christmas before going back out to work. And then they show the work part, and then, you know, how dangerous it could be. So Clint telling her no, he can't do this with her anymore. So yeah, it shows that Clint actually cares about her. He doesn't want her to be hurt. But yeah, again, good episode. I'll see you all next week for the next one. And of course, if you enjoyed anything I had to say, like, sub, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all next week.